What's up everybody, Steve here. Is it going to get worse for landlords with tenants not paying? Time will tell. I think it probably will, and I think a lot of landlords are going to be hurt. So toward the end of this video, I'm going to go through some tips that you guys can do and implement right away if you guys have tenants that are not paying. I'm going to read off the new ban that's going to extend until the end of this year, which may or may not have an effect on you as a real estate investor. So let's check it out. Trump administration bans most evictions through December. The order made by the CDC on Tuesday will prevent landlords from evicting most tenants across the United States, effective September 4th. To apply for the new moratorium, tenants must file a form with their landlord stating that they cannot pay rent, have lost substantial household income due to the pandemic, and will make their best effort to pay partial rent. Tenants also have to stipulate that the eviction could push them into homelessness or to live with others in close quarters. The order lays out criminal penalties for violating the mandate, but does not relieve tenants of their obligation to pay their rent. Look, I get it, we're in strange times right now, and I never thought that there would be a time where the government's gonna step in and state that tenants are able to not necessarily pay their rent. So I get it, there's a lot of tenants that are in deep trouble and they're hurting, and there's a lot of people hurting out there. A lot of them have permanent job loss. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about some solutions for landlords and working with their tenants. For one thing, and I think the most important, is you gotta have a certain level of communication with the tenants. You have to have a certain level of sympathy and empathy for them as well, because everybody is going through tough times right now. They also have to have some empathy and sympathy for you and your family, especially if you have a mortgage on these properties. If they're not paying the rent, you're not able to pay the mortgage necessarily. Now you might have a forbearance situation with your lender and you're able to delay things, but it's only hurting you and your family as well. So they have to understand that. And if you're not frontline managing your own properties, make sure that your managers are instructed to do this as well. And it's gonna benefit your managers as well if the tenants start paying, because that's the only way that the managers get paid, is if the tenants are actually paying and they take their cut out of the rental income. The second thing, and as part of the mandate, is encourage a partial payment. See where they're comfortable. See if there's anything that they could potentially do to ensure that you are getting something, maybe 50% of the rent right now, and then figure out a repayment plan in the future. So always encourage them to come up with some kind of fund, some kind of money to make some sort of partial payment to relieve the pain. The third thing is see if they're willing to work it off. So if the property is in bad condition, or maybe it needs to be painted inside or outside, or landscaping done, maybe they'd be willing to work off part of the payment or part of the rent in compensation for not paying some of the rents to you. And finally, something that we utilized in listing and selling REO properties, foreclosure properties, is something called cash for keys. Now, cash for keys is basically approaching the person, the tenant in place, and offering them cash for keys. So the situation is basically you do not provide them any kind of cash to move out until you have keys in hand and they're completely out of the property, with the property in clean condition as you previously saw it, without any damage or necessary repairs. Now, how do we go about this? Again, opening the lines of communication. Maybe these people have permanent job loss and they're not going to be able to afford that $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 a month when this mandate runs out. So you can encourage them. Maybe they have friends or family that they can move into temporarily until they get back up on their feet. And a solution for them is actually getting some money in their pocket right now to basically vacate the property. So for example, in the foreclosure world, we would approach whoever is in the property. Sometimes it was the previous owner or a tenant or even a squatter. And we would start off by offering maybe $1,500 or $2,000 and say, look, I'm here. When you give me the keys and you're completely vacated from this property and everything is out, that day we'll do a walkthrough on this property, and if it's of my satisfaction, I'll give you $2,000 cash. And look, you might have to negotiate with people, because a lot of times they're seeing this mandate and they might go through the process of filing the necessary paperwork and kind of run with the system and utilize the system to their benefit. So it's going to take some negotiation with these tenants, and you know, maybe if they're indecisive about it, give them a handful of days to think about it as well, and they might come back with a higher dollar amount, but you're gonna have to utilize your negotiation skills to get them out. Now, is it in the beginning a tough pill to swallow for you? Yes, because you're actually paying somebody to move out of the property, plus you're already lost on all this back rental for the last 3-4 months or whatever the case is. So it can be a tough pill to swallow, I get it, but the future could be very, very good for you if they do get out in, say, 10 days, 15 days, and you have your vacant property and you're able to get somebody new coming in and paying rent right away. You might be way ahead of the game. So what other solutions are you guys working on if you're a landlord? Is there anything else that is working for you? If so, share it with everybody. Share it in the comments below. And if you guys got any value out of this, I appreciate a big thumbs up. And I'll see you guys on the next one. See you.